Hey, what's going on there, YouTube? This is SDL0320 representing JVS. So, I'm going to try to set the record straight. This is the day after Valentine's Day. I was going to do this yesterday, but I was like, no. This day, the 14th was strictly for my fiance. And we had a great time. It was really awesome. But this is going to be, as you read from the title, it's my thoughts and my take on the DCEU as it stands right now. Like, for the good and for the bad, okay? Because from public perception, if you go on the news, normally there's not any positive news when it comes to the DCU. Like, there are some avid fans like me that are excited to see when, the Justice League trailer is out. And then there's another side of this, like, oh, well, the trailer's going to show too much. They're going to bomb it just like they did with BVS, or they're going to, not show it, and then it's gonna just destruct what people thinks and their perceptions. All these movies are garbage, and of course, Marvel is killing the game. Marvel has now 14 films since 2008, and it's almost like a game changer kind of situation. So, but the thing I wanted to bring up is, why is DC failing? Okay, because I'm not, how do I put it? I'm not naive to say that they should be doing a lot better, but I am smart enough to look at it from an outside perspective, what's going on, okay? I'm going to do a couple different things, not math, but kind of my perception looking at it. What was it? In 2008, The Dark Knight came out, and then The Dark Knight Rises came out like closer to 2009, 2010. But in 2008, Iron Man came out. Iron Man was a game changer. Nobody wanted to see Iron Man or anything like that. And before that, it was like 2002 Spider-Man, and then so on and so forth. But the Spider-Man 3 was not all that good. Iron Man really set the bar, and it was well received. Didn't make as much money, but it was very good, okay? A lot of people equate the Green Lantern movie as part of DCU. It's not. It was their attempt at it, and it didn't go anywhere, and it bombed terribly. I'll admit, that movie was some garbage, okay? Their first real movie that connects to their universe was Man of Steel. That was the first. So think about Man of Steel versus Iron Man 1. That's how I process all of this. Iron Man and Man of Steel are two totally different films. Iron Man was very origin rated, and it was very intriguing. It was very fun. It was Robert Downey's movie in every way. Like, he showcased a lot of different range, a lot of different skills. Man of Steel was very serious. It was very back and forth. It took you on an emotional ride that I could put Man of Steel in right now and get things from it I never would see. Not only was it eye candy, but it was an amazingly told story. It was great. Okay? After that, it was, for Marvel, it was Incredible Hulk. Now, some people, it's like an interesting gray area. I actually liked Incredible Hulk. I thought that Edward Norton was one of the best Bruce Banners. I think that the CG was a little off, but him and Liv Tyler, their connection, their chemistry, everything to me was just perfect, and I thought that they did a great job. And then on top of that, Iron Man showed up at the end credits of it. So I thought that they did a really good job with it. But some people would go on record to say that the Ang Lee version and this one were terrible films. It was very, mixed shift, right? So the technical second one for DC was Batman vs. Superman. The same exact thing, right? Batman vs. Superman, in a lot of different ways, people have waited for it for years. Like, they were waiting to see a really good Batman, Superman, and the same thing with the Hulk. That's the thing. Like, they tried with the Hulk first, but this was their redemption. This was their second chance, and it didn't work for everybody. Batman vs. Superman did not work for everybody. Matter of fact, it didn't win over people until after the director's cut came out, and then that was when more people really were on board for it. And I'm getting to a point with all this. Now, the third one for Marvel was Iron Man 2. It started going things started going a little south, and Iron Man 2 was not all that good at all. I liked it because of Mickey Rourke. That was it. I did not like it. I did not like Iron Man 3, but I'm not going to get into Iron Man 3 because we're still just on phase 1. The next film for DC was Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad was a very fun movie, but they picked that movie apart, and it was nowhere near. I haven't even bought the Suicide Blu-ray yet. I bring this up to show you guys something, okay? Based on just that time frame, Now, when Iron Man 1 came out, on the same year, Incredible Hulk came out. When Man of Steel came out, it took 2 more years before Batman vs Superman came out. So you see the timing is very different, where you got 2 movies a year versus 1 at a time, okay? So DC's, they're starting to correct that with Justice League and Wonder Woman coming out this year. But the third films for both of these franchises were not well received at all. Now, people can look that over and say, oh, well, it's this, but it's very true. And the other thing that in my opinion, this is just my opinion, Batman vs. Superman was not a sequel to Man of Steel. Batman vs. Superman was, think about the title, Batman vs. Superman. This was Batman's movie. This was Batman's debut to this universe. That's really what it was. Now, I think personally they could have went with just a Batman story and just left it there, left Superman out of it. It might have, been more well received, but I think that there's always going to be this comparisons like, oh, well, DC's trying to rush everything. They're trying to make things go so fast. They're trying to tell everybody about this. This is what they did wrong. Okay? Bear with me on this. I know this took long enough to get to. The problem with Batman vs. Superman wasn't the fact of Batman vs. Superman. It was the expectation that everybody had on what Batman vs. Superman should be. Before Batman vs. Superman came out, the first picture, real talk, was Aquaman, Save the Seven. And I'm thinking, okay, well, they're going to come out with all these different kind of things. This is just going to lead straight into the Justice League. That was my perception, right? In Batman vs. Superman, they had, 2-second, maybe 10-second shots of each member of the Justice League, whether it be Flash, whether that be Aquaman, whether it be Cyborg. And as cool as they were, they should not have been in the movies, because from the trailers or from people talking about it and expectations, people were thinking BVS was going to be like a precursor to Justice League. And in my opinion, what they should have done was left that completely out. And then this is the other thing. And I talked to one of my friends, Ray, about this. What DC has been doing is telling people what their ideas are before they're concrete. I'll give you an example, right? When I went to San Diego Comic-Con, I went in there, they brought every single director they just got. Before the directors had even confirmed and did the production, they brought them on stage and said, this is what they're going to do. This is the mode, this is the expectation. They should have never done that. And they've been doing that from jump. They've made promises and said, Doomsday is going to be in this. We're going to give you Batman. We're going to give you this. And I understand it. I understand the methodology. They want to catch up. But I don't think the problem is in the films what they're doing. I think it's their public perception. So when you say, all right, show me a picture of Aquaman, I'm going to expect Aquaman is going to be legit in this film. He wasn't. And what the consumers look at, they're like, okay, he hasn't even got a movie yet. You haven't earned this. And this is from the comic book fans. But then when in the film, you've not got a director yet, you've got a character and you brought him up and you haven't laid the groundwork of your production. You never should do that. Okay, with Rogue One, with Ant-Man, when, Edgar Wright, bowed out, when situations happen with all these changes to the script for Rogue One and reshoots, do you know why that was not negatively received? It's because they already made those changes after the production was already done. Okay? With Suicide Squad, the movie wasn't even completely in production, and they announced all these things that they were going to be doing. They showed all these different trailers, and before the groundwork was done, they openly said to everybody, well, we're making this change, this has happened. We didn't find out about Edgar Wright until after the fact. Like, they had already had another director lined up before they said, okay, now we don't know what we're going to do. And I think that from their marketing with Batman vs. Superman, they should have never done certain things with that. with their marketing with Suicide Squad. They should have never released those trailers that they did. They should wait until they actually have a concrete production done before they release anything to the general public. I think that the problem with the DCEU is not necessarily the quality of the film or the branding of it. They are being demolished by critics that are looking from a public perception of the marketing, that these films are not crafted well. And based on what? Based on looking at, okay, you already looking like you got problems here, even though you're supposedly be in production. They're not even in production. They're saying things that they're supposed to be doing, and they haven't gotten their feet in the door yet. Okay? Because looking at this map that I just equated to y'all, Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, and Iron Man 2, why is DCU getting so much flack? Because they only have Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, and Suicide Squad. They don't have enough films to even think about competing with Marvel. That's just not logical. And from a financial standpoint, they made 3 times as much individually as each one of these films did. So why are they failing? From public perception, what DC is failing at is they're giving people too much information, and then when it falls back, but normal film production has rewrites, has directors that bow out, but because they put all their business out there before just, all right, they've already committed to this. We've already got like Be Real. We've already got like production done within 3 months already. We've already been shooting. They've already just kind of put it out there, and social media's they've been destroying it. And that's going to continue to happen if DC does not understand what they have to do is, with moving forward after Justice League or anything else, wait. Just wait. Get an idea. Get it going, get the director, get it in production, and then after it gets maybe a month or so, then be like, okay, just want to let you guys know, we have this movie in production right now. Don't say a thing, because if they do that, that will make up from all the problems, because now it's resting on Wonder Woman and Justice League having to be epic films just to justify the DCU being validated, and they shouldn't, because the next 2 movies on Marvel were Thor and Captain America, and then they had Avengers, right? So Wonder Woman gonna have her own movie. Think about that, like Thor. The Justice League film is gonna be kind of like the comparison with the first Avenger, Captain America, and then the Avengers, which that kind of works. But the problem that I have with it is that how can you say a franchise is failed when you look at the beginning phase for Marvel? They kind of underperformed in some of the films, like Thor. I mean, some people like Thor, but it wasn't a masterpiece. Okay, and that's what I'm trying to say, that Wonder Woman shouldn't have to be a masterpiece to say that DCU is gonna fail or they should just scrap everything. Captain America, I loved it, but I knew a lot of people did not love it. And that means that Justice League should have that same exact chance, but it's not getting that. And that's because of the marketing. That's the way they're actually pushing things out. And from public perception, the media is crucifying it. And on top of crucifying it, the critics are crucifying it, because they've already had a preconceived notion that they're going to fail. After BVS, they've already had that. A lot of people already had critiques about Man of Steel, but those critiques were not the same with Iron Man. And probably, yeah, DC is more well-known than Marvel, but you cannot account for something as a failure if your perception is being swayed based on the way that they're pushing things out. That's just my personal opinion. So what DC needs to do, they need to get their groundwork, wait for their production. Because honestly, this whole Ben Affleck situation, if they would have just waited and not even said anything, wait till they went into production, let people just begin to speculate whether or not he was going to be the director or not, and see what the script was going to look like after 3 months. And then, okay, if it's not able to do it, then get another director. If he's not able to get the script right, then get another writer. And it would have saved face, because they would have at least had, all right, I've had this amount of production time in, and this is going to be corrected. But the media doesn't have to know. They don't. They really don't. And they just flapping everything out. Same thing happened with The Flash. They got rid of the Flash director, got rid of the script. It's all over social media. It shouldn't be there. They should already have the groundwork, and they're telling people things to get them excited versus getting something concretely down. And that's where they're failing, in my personal opinion. Not with these films, because Iron Man was a great film, Incredible Hulk, I thought it was a great film, but Iron Man 2 was not. And when I compared that to Suicide Squad in terms of just the number, like, I like Suicide Squad more than Iron Man 2. That's just period. It's a better film. Did they screw Suicide Squad? Yes. So I don't know who's making these executive decisions, but that is my take on the DCU, and that is where they need correction. So I just wanted to give you that perspective, and I'm going to make a more follow-up video because I don't have the amount of time that I need, but hopefully you did enjoy my in-depth perception of Marvel and DC and where they're at and what Marvel is doing great at. And they've been working at it. They've built a universe. But DC just really needs to sit on their ideas, get their productions in order, and just wait before saying anything to the media because it's crucifying them. And us as fans, we are looked down as being stupid because we are putting faith in something that we know is good already, and characters that are great, and movies that are similarly really good, such as Man of Steel. Like, nobody considers Man of Steel as a good movie, and that's wrong. So, especially compared to the beginning Marvel films. That's just my take. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this. I'll talk to y'all a little later. Keep it locked. JVS, we ain't gonna stop.